about Lynch at Women's Radio, and I'm very, very happy to have a guest today who's going to join us in talking about Valentine's Day. And so whether you're listening to this before Valentine's Day, on Valentine's Day, or following, this subject is probably going to have some relevance to you, whether it's in your relationship with a guy in your life or a woman in your life, or it could be somebody in your family, or it could be someone you work with. And so Lois brought up a really good subject. She says, what in the world does shame and guilt have to do with love? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And I am very, very pleased to welcome back to Women's Radio Lois Hollis, who's an expert on shame and guilt in particular. Now we're going to find out if she's also an expert on love. So welcome, Lois.
Oh, I don't know about being an expert on love, but I know how to get more love, if that's an expert.
That is. So what in the world does shame and guilt have to do with love?
Well, shame, guilt is love's enemy. And if you frame it that way, you want to know what is going on here. Shame, guilt teaches us not to love because it's an energy that's negative and it only brings negativity to you. Shame, guilt, according to Lois Hollis, shame, guilt is the cause of all negative emotions: depression, anxiety, failure, suicide, regret. You know what? We have 200. We don't have time for 200 emotions. But anything negative, shame, guilt is the root of it. Eating disorders, love disorders, relationship disorders, anything, shame, guilt's the culprit. Now, with saying that, one would really want to know, what is shame, guilt, and how does it do that? And that's why I chose this shame, guilt. I call it shame, guilt because it's the same. Shame is in the unconscious, guilt's in the conscious. It's like a penny. You have heads and tails, but it's still a penny. So shame is guilt and guilt is shame. So say, oh, I don't have any shame. I have a little guilt. Shame's guilt. You have a penny. You have a nickel. So that's one thing that I wanted to express today, is that shame, guilt is an entity that comes to us like a computer virus. And when it comes into us by the words we say to ourselves or other people say to us, and it messes with our emotions and turns them into negative. Compassion turns to anger and depression. Our intuition goes to anger. So everything is turned negative. We have, see, emotions are negative and positive. And it depends on if they got hit by shame, guilt, then they're negative. If they're hit by love, we have the positive aspect of it. So that's another thing that I wanted to share with you, that emotions are very fragile. They can go negative or positive, depends on the shame, guilt. So yes, shame, guilt is a big, big function that we don't talk about. We talk about love. Of course, love gives us so much compassion and joy and love and wisdom and community. And we're just not afraid. We're just loving. And on the negative side, we got shame, guilt. But if you ever had a negative thought or negative thing, it goes into the pot. So my message today is, yes, of course, love yourself. Yes, of course, do things that make you happy. Do things that make other people happy too. You know, this is all love. However, look for the shame, guilt that you have. Everyone has it. It's not normal. It's common. Humanity is not supposed to be ridden with shame, guilt. We are beautiful, loving creatures of God. We are not supposed to be creatures of shame, guilt. However, we're told that we are. We are not. So if you get anything today, we are not shame, guilt. And our inner critic, who is our shame, guilt producer, we can befriend. And maybe that would be good.
Can I ask you a question? How do you help people get in touch with some of their negative emotions and help them learn to see, oh, that's just a form of shame and guilt. And here's what you can do to alter it
Okay.
at any moment.
Okay. You're you're combing your hair to go out, oh, this left side is terrible. Won't go. People are going to say it looks terrible, this right. And then what you say to yourself is, who's talking? Right? Who's talking? I want to know who's talking within me so I can talk with that person inside of me. And I have a whole film on talking within our inner critic and our children and all sorts of parts of ourselves. It's called Out of Discord into Harmony. I went to film school just to do that film. But anyway, I did it.
I remember.
So, and then the inner critic is like, well, you can't do that. You say, who's talking? What is your name? That's what you say to yourself. And you may get an answer, you may not, but don't give up. Giving up is shame, guilt. You're not worthy enough of an answer. Yes, you are worthy. Until you keep ask that. How easy is that? Who's talking?
Don't you think that some of this does necessarily come from the adults we were with when we were children, whether it's our parents or relatives or at school or any other place where we were made to feel less than?
Well,
And
of course. And, you're going to get many answers and make sure you write them down. But you have to have a way in. And I know meditation is good, but you got to talk in meditation. You just can't go off into la la land. Say, who's talking? Who's talking? I want to talk to somebody
uh-huh.
because that's how we communicate, right? Woman's radio. Hello, what do? We talk and we talk to ourselves. And it's not schizophrenic, it's called normal. We do it anyway.
Well,
So
I really believe in an inner voice that
of
I'm
course it is. You have inner voices and you have to say, who's talking?
right.
I
Right.
mean, one time I had a kind of had, so many people talking. I said, okay, you're the teacher. Everybody sit down and you'll be called. You have to control this. Some people talk too much, some people don't talk at all. It doesn't matter. Just say, hi, thank you for coming to see me, and who are you? That's it. And
So
that's how I help
let me
people.
ask you a completely different kind of question. If we could all be good stewards and do just what you're suggesting, what kind of world would you expect to see out of all that effort?
Oh, you're just going to excel beyond what you thought you could possibly do. The glass ceiling is shame guilt. I mean, seriously, give me a break. I did this work and I also took on the shame guilt that I gave to my kids. We were taught to be mothers, right? So we do the shame guilt. So I took it back from them and then gave it away. And
Uh,
each one of them got an award and a promotion within 4 months. How about that?
Amazing. Well,
That's
how
a
did you
true
go about
story.
doing that? How
That's a
did you
true
do that?
story. That's a true story. I mean, your life just changes beyond what you could possibly ever think. It's
How did you
awesome.
take that back? How did you do that with your children?
Well, I didn't do it with my kids. I did it etherically because I was responsible for giving shame guilt to my kids. I did not know this stuff when I was 30, 40, 50. I was still learning, but I could see incidences where I did, and I had to take it back. But you can't do that. And I'm warning people right now, you can't do that until you clear yourself first. You can't take on more. So I don't know if I want to get into that, but I'm just
You'll
making
have
it
to come back.
available. Yeah, that
I think
is,
it's I think it's really crucial. I think we all need to learn how to do this. We
yeah,
need
it's
to
easy.
practice it, and then we
It's
need to
step
teach
one,
other people.
2, 3, and it's easy. And I don't teach therapists because they have their own way. I teach you and me how to do this stuff, and then you teach yourself. It's awesome. And it works every time. It works every time.
Well, I don't think there's a better time to have this happen than just
Happy
before
Valentine's.
Valentine's Day. Yes,
And I
exactly.
love myself. And I, and then I hear somebody say, well, I don't love you. And I just said to myself, and who's talking? And that was my anger part. Okay, well, we'll talk a little bit. Right now, we're talking to Woman's Radio and other people, and I'll talk to you later. Yeah. Okay. I love me. I love me. I love me.
It's true. We could practice a lot more self-love, I think. And if we
Well, of
practice that
course, but we
self-love,
have to know thy enemy.
yes.
Isn't that the secret of life?
Mm.
Know thy enemy. You only have one. Shame, guilt. That's your only enemy. It's not your mother, father, grandmother, the president, or the teacher. It's shame, guilt is your enemy.
Let me take this opportunity to wish you a wonderful and happy Valentine's Day and all of our audience. And I hope that they will put this into practice and share it with other people, share this interview with other people. These little things can make a big difference in our lives. I really appreciate you taking time to come and share with us today. And I will look forward to your coming back. Maybe we'll be able to do something even more interesting in helping people make this transition to love. I think that would be great. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you and bless you. And I love me. I love me.
I love you too, Lois.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.